It's Monday night, and you know what that means. Jersey First TV proudly brings to you the latest edition of Real Talk, and I am New Jersey's premier and now seven-time award-winning journalist, top 100 Latino via the Latino Spirit online magazine, and certainly the weapon of mass disruption here in the Garden State, and especially in media. It is me, Fernando Uribe. Happy Martin Luther King Jr. Day, ladies and gentlemen. Hope you're enjoying this long weekend. Hope you're enjoying all the great playoff football. I'm certainly a nervous wreck, as we all know, obviously, with the last game of wildcard weekend coming up on a Monday night. So, you know how I feel. But, folks, I want to thank you all for tuning in from wherever and however you may be doing so right here on Jersey First TV. And, of course, always check us out on all of our social media brands. Make sure you like Real Talk with Fernando Uribe and Jersey First on Facebook. Of course, follow me on Instagram and Twitter at the same handle, at the Fernando Zone. Certainly check out the Jersey First YouTube page and also follow them on Instagram and Twitter at the same handle, at Jersey First. And wherever you get your podcasts, ladies and gentlemen, whether it's SoundCloud or Spotify, look for Jersey First, subscribe, and you'll take your podcast with you anywhere that you go. Whether you're at the gym working off those very sort of stubborn holiday pounds, whether you're just looking to, get in shape for Valentine's Day, walking your dog, whatever it is you're doing, folks, maybe you're paying your bills, you like to listen to podcasts as you're doing work at home, guess what? Jersey First has all of our episodes there, obviously free of charge for you to download and take on all of your mobile devices. So please do so. Sharing is caring, ladies and gentlemen. So I do appreciate you taking the time to obviously share during the live broadcast and obviously during the week when the replays are available. Of course, check out all of our excellent programming via jerseyfirst.org/TV. And certainly all of our great broadcasts, including my fellow tag team partner, the great Elizabeth Nader, with her show, The Nader Narrative, which you can check out on Thursdays on Jersey First TV. And of course, all the other wonderful talent that I'm proud to be a part of here on the Jersey First team. Folks, you definitely want to stick around because I have a lot to say because, over the weekend as I was, cleaning out my desk, I was, going through some clutter to get rid of it. And I came across documents. And it got me thinking about why the word documents seems to be in the headlines. And I have a lot to say about really who isn't talking about documents. As always, I'll tell you who is the worst in Garden State media and even perhaps the worst person of the week in the state of New Jersey. So you definitely want to stay tuned for that one, folks. Don't go anywhere. And of course, if you're just doing it live right now, share it, folks. Sharing is caring here as we are coming to you live from the Jersey First TV studios here in the heart of Hudson County, folks. It's always in Union City, New Jersey. Now, folks, I can't say enough really as we're starting off 2023. It is an election season. There's a lot to talk about. And the reason that this program continues to do great organic traffic is, of course, yours truly being the exceptional interviewer that I am. But yes, you know what? More importantly, it's the caliber and the quality of all the outstanding guests and the exclusives that I bring you every single week that nobody else is bringing you in Garden State media. And of course, I'll continue to do that this year, especially during this very interesting election season in the state of New Jersey. Obviously, all 80 state assembly seats are up for grabs and all 40 state Senate seats are up for grabs. And speaking of the New Jersey State Senate, my guest this week, she ran in 2021 and she's running once again in a different district in 2023. A fan of the show, a stand-up lady, a wonderful human, folks. She is Patricia Johnson running in LD14. Join us here tonight on Real Talk. Patricia, welcome.
Welcome. Thank you. That was a great introduction. I want to thank you for that.
I appreciate that, Patricia. And again, folks, for our great intelligent viewing audience at home, if you're not familiar with the logistics of LD14, I know that obviously after redistricting, a lot of legislative districts changed dramatically. I know where I live in LD33, a real big, as they say, facelift as to what the district looks like. Certainly every district across all 40 legislative districts underwent some sort of transformation. But if you're not familiar with LD14, it's pretty much kind of centered around Mercer County, folks. It includes the townships of East Windsor, Hamilton Township, Hightstown Borough, and Robbinsville Township. And along Middlesex County, it consists of Cranberry Township, Jamesburg Borough, Monroe Township, Plainsboro Township, and the Spotswood Borough. So a very, I would argue, Patricia, a very diverse district along socioeconomic lines. Is that fair to say?
Yes, it is. And that's why it's so important for us to get out early and really dig into our areas, because not, you can't run on the same thing everywhere. I need to know what's needed in each of the areas that I'm working for, because it could be very, very different. So,
Well, let's get to what really makes the district unique. And obviously, we have incumbents. Last week, when I interviewed Adam Elias, who I think will be making a decision sometime soon for a state assembly run, we talked about Linda Greenstein. And I don't want to be accused of being an ageist. I mean, the woman's 72 years old. I don't want to sound mean. But Linda, I think, is really representative, though, Patricia, of that establishment politician in Trenton. She's been in the state Senate since 2010. I'm sorry. I mean, when you're going back as far as the Obama administration and you're still running, I hate to break it to people, folks, it's time for a change. Democrats have had a majority in the legislature since 2001. That's going on 20 years. No coincidence. And again, I don't want to paint all Democrats with the same brush, because there are some good middle of the road working class Democrats, but it seems like Linda Greenstein isn't. She seems out of touch. Her policies state that, and her voting record shows that too, Patricia. Is that fair to say?
it is fair to say. And she just hasn't changed. And if you haven't gotten it by now, you're not going to get it from her. And that's the important thing, I think. If you watch her voting record and watch how she votes, she always goes with whatever is in so that she doesn't look bad. She waits till the next to last, very bottom of when it's time for her to vote. And she just goes with the people. That's all she does. She's not working for the people, and she doesn't fight for what she believes in. And in this day and age, people need people fighting for them. Whether it's what's in or out, we need to stick to what is good for our area, and we need to fight for it. So
I think you said it beautifully. Folks, if you're just joining us right now, it is 6:08 p.m. on the East Coast here on Jersey First TV. My guest this week is a distinguished candidate running in LD 14. Big fan of the show. Patricia Johnson joins us here this week on Real Talk. Patricia, let's get into your campaign. It's easy to talk about the incumbents because there's a lot to dissect, but let's talk about your platform. You look at LD 14. I know some circumstances presented themselves in which, obviously you relocated to LD 14. You're living there presently. It is a great district, great people. Again, a lot of great businesses, culture, it's a great area of New Jersey to live in. Why are you running?
Well, first of all, let me backtrack for a minute, because how you had introduced me. I originally came from Hamilton. I grew up in Hamilton. My father built 8 houses on one street in Hamilton. I went to school. I moved out of Hamilton because of the financial aspect, and because I had gotten married. My mom passed away, so I moved back in the area. So it's not like I moved for politics. I moved because that's where I came from. And I think that that's important. And it's where my friends are, my family is, and what I know. And so I have a great idea of what it is. The people there, they're me. We're many of us are middle class working people. Do we have upper class, lower class? Of course we do. But I've seen the difficulty. And I'm not somebody that sits back and watches. I'm somebody that goes out and attacks the difficulties. I'm starting a women's coalition for skilled labor, farmland, and agriculture, because I realize that moms often are the ones that help their children to decide where they want to go in life. And we always talk about infrastructure and building, and we need to do this and that. And we cannot do it if we don't have labor in our children and in us as it is right now. And I think moms need to understand that there's an avenue for their children to go into the skilled labor fields. I think that moms and women can be as creative in those fields as anybody can. those fields have there's not a question of pay, because when they they pay on a pay scale. This is where you come in, regardless of your color, your nationality, whatever. You're going to get paid the same thing. But it's what women can bring to it. We talk about tilers, and they're hard to find anymore, and they don't get paid much. That's not true. You can get out, you can make a great living, and women are great at that because we've got an artistic eye. There's so many areas that we can work on. I'm somebody that believes our children need a future. I'm somebody that believes that our elderly need to be protected. We don't respect our elderly. Our elderly are leaving New Jersey quicker than we can get them in, and we need to keep them here. We need to find something in some way to work with them so that they can stay in their home with their families. So there's many areas in Hamilton that I see that we can do things, that we can change. We talk about taxes all the time, and everybody knows we need to address taxes, but we need to address so many other issues.
Absolutely, Patricia. And you know what? It's interesting because I talk about taxes all the time on this program. And really, Jersey First TV is the only news entity out there in Garden State media talking about irresponsible spending in Trenton, which we'll get to in a moment. But really, the problem of taxes, and I'm just looking at some numbers here. New Jersey leads the nation, unfortunately. This is one distinction I don't like about New Jersey, but nationally, New Jersey is averaging $9,200 per household for property taxes. Now, again, that ranges from different areas. Where I live in Hudson County, they're high nines. A little north of me in Bergen County, a little bit north of the George Washington Bridge, very affluent townships like Alpine, Cresskill, towns like that in Upper Bergen County. We're talking about like $14,000, $15,000, even $16,000. And even all the way south of me, somewhere in Union County, we're looking at areas by Short Hills Mall that are averaging almost $24,000. So it's a serious problem that for whatever reason, the legislature, again, I don't want to paint with a broad brush, but it's always interesting to me when I talk to a lot of my friends on the opposite side of the aisle, right? Democrats or liberals or progressives that say, well, New Jersey's too expensive. I'm like, well, why is that? Well, why isn't there this insistence on getting taxes down or reining in spending? So again, I say it all the time. You can't blame conservatives like me who serve in the state legislature because, A, people like me are not in the majority. They've been in the minority for 2 decades. So when people want to say, well, why is New Jersey in the bad fiscal shape that it's in? I hate to break it to you folks, especially those friends of mine on the left. It's not fiscal conservatives. It's not intelligent policy nerds like yours truly that are in the legislature. I know you're one of them that wants to propose more responsible spending, fairer taxation, but it just seems like those on the left, Patricia, they're not interested in that in Trenton.
They're not even interested in a way that we could change that. We need to bring business into New Jersey, into our areas, so that we can be Trenton makes and the world takes, so that we can keep our taxes down by the money that we're within. And we're not opening that up to businesses because it's too expensive here. So we've got to find ways that we can work through that. And I think that's my greatest hope, is that I can work to bring businesses back to New Jersey and to Hamilton. We have call centers that attack people all the time. Why are we having our call centers outside of the US? Why can't we use some form to bring our call centers back in? I believe that there is a way. I've talked to several people that are now starting call centers that literally are from Hamilton, and it's working for them. You need to do that because your identity gets stolen. And what happens when your identity gets stolen? East Windsor had a problem with identity theft, and they didn't tell their people until it was very much too late. I mean, we need to work with our police departments. We need to work with our fire departments. We need to protect them. We have Hamilton Hospital that had somebody come in from Trenton 2 weeks ago at night that terrorized the hospital, breaking equipment, attacking people in the hospital, and it took forever to get them to get him underway. And you know why? Because our police cannot do what they need to do because they're frightened of what may happen to them if they do it. We need to protect our police so that they can protect us, And that's something that I want to do. We need to work on these issues. These are issues as well.
Absolutely. And, it's interesting because, you talk about public safety. I know that's a big, big item in your platform. And obviously over the weekend, I was just looking at the newsfeed here. We saw somewhere in central Jersey, I believe, that there was an attempted home invasion. A resident used her firearm to fire at the intruder. And that's great. And, it's interesting because the governor and Attorney General Plotkin and the rest of the far left in Trenton are all about, well, we want to be the California of the East. We want to make sure we have the strictest gun control in the country. Well, guess what? And thank the Lord that a judge put an injunction into this asinine policy that Governor Murphy, that Attorney General Plotkin has signed off on, that State Senate President Nicholas Scutari has signed on, as well as Assembly Speaker Craig Coughlin, where it's not making New Jerseyans safer. And thank goodness that this judge put an injunction on that, because you know what? At the end of the day, Murphy, when he travels to one of his 27 homes or away in Italy, when he travels across the country, or, high-ranking members of the legislature go to events or whatever, they have police protection. They have armed security. So it almost seems like what's good for Murphy, what's good for you isn't good for me. And I think that's just a very myopic, again, a typical myopic, policy-driven type of agenda that we see from the far left, like Governor Murphy and others in New Jersey on the far left, that again they want to be so woke and they want to be like, oh, let's resemble California. California is a dump. California has become the outright trash of the West Coast. Why there's this fixation, Patricia, to make New Jersey like California when we all know New Jersey's going down the tubes, but let's not expedite it either.
We're in New Jersey because we want to be here. We don't want to be California. We want to be New Jersey. We want to keep it, and we want to make it what it want to keep it that way. And we want people to stay here. So we've got to work, and we can't just keep going and saying it's okay, it's okay, it's okay. We can't. We have to fight for the things that we believe in. And I'm here to work with my people and to fight for what we need. That's what I'm going to do.
Absolutely. Folks, if you're just joining us right now, it's 6:18 here on the East Coast on Jersey First TV. Our guest this week is a distinguished state Senate candidate out of LD 14 in Mercer County. The great Patricia Johnson joins us here on Real Talk. Patricia, we talk about, again, the myopic policies coming out of Trenton. And I have to say, obviously, it starts in your district with Linda Greenstein. Again, I don't want to be picking on it too much. People are going to think I'm mean spirited again. I'm being an ageist. But, something that stands out for me about Linda Greenstein is, and you talked about, protecting the elderly, helping the elderly, helping middle class or working class people, because there's really not too much of a middle class anymore. It seems like lower working class. It just seems like it's really sort of digressed along socioeconomic lines. But something that really stands out for me, and you brought up before about the elderly, and the first thing that comes to mind is this asinine plastic bag ban that I know that Linda Greenstein was responsible for. I believe she introduced the bill. And this is how short-sighted this woman is, where I remember going to Walmart, I think right after the ban was implemented, and I left my bags in the car. And I was like, you know what? I parked all the way outside. It's kind of raining. I don't want to go back outside. So what did I do? I went to the produce section and I took out all the plastic bags that we get for produce. And pretty much I did my shop. Now, again, it wasn't like big items, but I used the plastic bags in the produce section to do my shopping that day. It's just like, wait a minute. This, again, it's the myopic, short-sighted policymaking by women like Linda Greenstein that make it more expensive for the elderly, that make it more expensive for working class people, single moms, single dads. But what does she care? She's been in the Senate since 2010. She's one of these like attorneys that, reminds me how easy it is to get a law degree when you see someone like Linda Greenstein out in the Senate proposing these policies that just don't work.
And there's so many things that she could do better. And they don't. I'm going to tell you, and the great majority of the people that have difficulty with them is elderly. I believe I may have mentioned this to you privately, but I was in Wegmans and there was a woman standing in the middle of the street. And I said to her, you better move because you're going to get hit, hon. And I helped her to the side. And she said, but I'm trying to get find my Uber. I can't find them. And I said, well, look, you sit down. I asked her where she was from. I said, don't worry. I'll take you home. let's just get you sitting and I'll get my car and pick you up. And she said, but I've got groceries down there. And I said, let's go get your groceries. She had a whole cart of groceries, no bags, just food in the cart. If she would have gotten an Uber, he never would have taken her like that. I gave her bags that I had. I took her back to her apartment, and she said to me, this happens to her all the time. She forgets them. You know, elderly get in there and they forget their bags. They don't want to pay for more. They may not even have the money to pay for more. It's just at a point, really, are paper bags going to make that big of a difference? I do not believe they are. You know, like we have so many things that we need to work on. And I think that was a frivolous one that we didn't need to get into.
I'm with you. I go to Walmart all the time. And again, during the pandemic, I was fortunate enough to subscribe to Walmart Plus and obviously had food delivered to me. And even afterwards, I still use the service because sometimes I don't want to go to Walmart and go food shopping. I'm tired after a long day. It's, you know, obviously I'm paying for the service, free delivery, great. And over time, I've had bags given to me, right? Because it's part of the delivery. And when I go to my car, I have 30, even sometimes 35 bags, you know, these sort of strong cloth bags that can, I think, sustain somewhere between maybe 15 to 20 pounds of weight. And I can't tell you how many times I go to Walmart and, you know, I stack them all in my shopping cart and I walk in and I'll see elderly people in the produce section or wherever, single moms, single dads with small children. And I see that they don't have bags, or I'm going to the self-checkout counter and I see these women and men without bags and I look at them. And again, the first thing that comes to my mind is I'm like, you know what? I got 30 bags here. I can give them one or two. It's not a big deal. I'm not going to give them like the super insulated ones, obviously, but I'm going to give them like the regular bags that we have that are made available. And it's just like, you know, and it's, I do it because I want to. I do it because it's the right thing to do. Help out people, obviously, because they're being marginalized by this stupid policy. And I remember, I think a couple of weeks ago, I was at Walmart. I saw an elderly woman on her smartphone looking for something, and she was like, didn't have a bag. And I looked at her, and her shopping cart was kind of middle, you know, kind of midway full. And I said, hi, miss. Sorry, you know what? I figured you don't have bags. Here's a couple of bags. And it was just like, great. Let's help the elderly. And the first thing she sent me, she was like, oh my God, thank you. God bless you. You know, what can I do for you? I'm like, you know what? Do me a favor. If you're on your smartphone, watch Real Talk on Mondays. Okay. That's all I need from you. Okay. God bless you. Just watch Real Talk, you know, but again, it's not to sound self-serving, but the thing is though, that when I see policies like that, Patricia, it really, really, again, it marginalizes the elderly, the working class, the single mom and dad, even the working poor who are just trying to get their groceries done. And again, like these bags aren't always available. Sometimes, listen, they're going to be just as harmful to the environment anyway, because people throw them away. They're stuck. They're left on parking lots in the street. When it rains, it snows. It could be catastrophic. Just a bad, bad look by Trenton, but I'm not surprised.
The other thing is the prices of those bags have tripled, quadrupled. Used to be able to get 3 for $1, and look what you're paying for them now. So, you know, it doesn't seem like a lot to some, but I've been in line where I've had people, a mom that was on food stamps and she had children, that 50 cents meant everything to her. You know, it was a matter of whether she could afford the bag to put the groceries in or whether she could afford a loaf of bread. And that, we need to think about that. So
absolutely. Looking also too in the district itself, obviously, again, a very socioeconomically diverse district. Is infrastructure also on the table for you, Patricia? Should you be able to win this June, the primary, and subsequently, hopefully, win this November? Is infrastructure in your district of dire concern?
You know, I'm not going to say it's of dire concern, but it is 100% of concern. It's how we are going to get ahead to be the area that thrives versus that we're sinking. And I believe that our schools, our children, our elderly are all issues. Taxes are right in there. We need to preserve our land. I believe that we need to start thinking about the food that we put into our mouth. I mean, I believe that we need to work with our farmlands, and we have some of that in other areas of my district. We need to come up with some plans so that farmers can keep their homes and not have to sell them so that storage areas can be built on them. There's a lot that we need to do, and I want to be at the forefront of that. And that's one of the reasons why I'm starting the Women's Coalition, because I think that they all go together. I do.
Another important dynamic here, Patricia, and again, I'm not saying this because I'm looking to audition for a position as an operative or to be the next state chair or executive director, but I have some serious concerns about what the NJGOP can do during this cycle. We saw in 2021, they helped flip a state Senate seat down in South Jersey with Ed Durr, who subsequently, folks, will be a guest in a few weeks. So you definitely want to look out for that on your calendars and mark it down. But also, Republicans were able to send 9 new women to the assembly. Obviously, we saw what happened in November of 2022. Obviously, really only flipping 1 congressional district. I thought maybe 2 more were possible. That wasn't the case. Listen, the NJGOP has made some gains. I'm just concerned, though, Patricia, that they can get a little complacent. And to use a term, because again, it's wild card weekend, maybe a lot of the sports fans watching today will appreciate this. There are moments when the NJGOP can sort of run for the end zone and they either fumble the ball or get stopped right before the goal line, and they can't afford that. I think this is a chance in 2023 for Republicans in numerous districts, specifically LD14, where Democrats, these career politicians, especially in LD14, are very vulnerable. I feel excited about what Republicans can do to maybe kind of shave off the majorities right now in the state assembly and the state Senate. But I'm also concerned about the fact that maybe they're not going to be able to do enough with grassroots, knocking on doors. I know you're a proud Republican, a proud fiscal conservative, obviously. I know you're going to take the high road here, but are you concerned at all that the NJGOP needs to do more during the cycle?
I think they need to work with us, but I'm going to say this. In 2021, when I ran, I did a lot of crying and whining because I felt as if I wasn't getting support. And I spoke, this wasn't their job to get me in. It was my job to get me in, and that I needed to work for it. And I've been working since I lost to find out how I needed to move forward, how I could work to get the things done that I needed to get done, and to listen to the people around me. And as I learned that, they started to work with me. I have great people supporting me. Senator, oh my God, Steve Orho, he has been. Yes. So I'm not going to say that I have reached out a lot to the GOP. I've reached out a lot to the people around me. John DeMayo, Ned Thompson, they've helped me to figure out what I have to do. I think that they need to do more to grab the young that we have around us. So it used to be that our young Republicans would get out and walk. And we need those young Republicans. We need anybody from the age of 20 to 40 joining part of the force of the Republican Party so that we can work with you, so we can prepare you for your future in politics, and so that you can help us to do what we need to do right now. So, it's a lot of door knocking. That's all what it's about. It is.
No, it certainly is. And again, my concern always is come election season, like we know what's wrong with New Jersey. We know what's wrong with Trenton. There's irresponsible spending. Again, there are far left Democrats in Trenton that think it's okay to take tax dollars, right, and insert it into the budget to provide legal counsel for illegals fighting deportation. Somehow, the far left in Trenton think it's okay to keep raising property taxes or not rein in spending, or perhaps consider shared services. Like, again, I have my issues with Steve Sweeney back when, but one of the things I'll applaud Steve Sweeney on in South Jersey in his district before he was unseated was that he was very much a proponent of shared services, about consolidating municipalities, which I think you need, whether it's school districts, whether it's services, whether it's not necessarily police and fire. I think, towns need their own police and fire, but there are other county services that we can consolidate. It just seems like someone like Linda Greenstein is the poster child for not being more serious about money in Trenton. And it just seems to me that, moving forward, Republicans just can't run on Well, the Democrats don't know what they're doing. A lot of Democrats in Trenton don't know what they're doing. We know this.
We need to shave some of the top and not the bottom. That's the problem. The some of the top paying jobs. We don't need three principals in one school. We don't need multiple areas getting the same things. We need to spread it out. I agree with you. We need to look at how we can shave them without affecting the area that we live in. It's not police and fire right now. It is not. I don't believe we can work with cutting them back. So, oops. Not sure if you're there or not.
Bear with folks. Thank you so much again. Bear with us here. We have some technical difficulties. I don't know what happened. I hope we can get Patricia back on the screen here. If we can get her back on, it'd be nice. I hope. Let's try to get Patricia back on here. Hopefully she can get back on. Okay, let's bear with us, folks. Here, we're trying our best here, as we all know that Verizon Fios sucks, and I sincerely hope that everybody at Verizon Fios, every technician, gets diarrhea for 5 consecutive days. Like, that's how useless you must all be at Verizon Fios. Just get Wi-Fi to work. We pay enough money. Do your effing job over there at Fios. I don't know what's wrong with people there, but I think, folks, yep, Patricia joins us once again. Patricia, my apologies for that. Are you still with us? Are you still with us here?
Yes, I am. Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Okay. Well, again, Patricia, I'm sorry about that. Verizon Fios is my carrier. I really hate Verizon Fios. Again, as I said, I hope every technician at Fios gets diarrhea for 5 consecutive days, and that there's not one Tums or Maalox available at any CVS or Walgreens for the next 5 days. So that's my opinion of Verizon Fios, and I'm gonna make sure to post that on their social media tonight because I like to do those things. So again, Patricia, I'm glad you're still with us here. Are you still with us?
Yes, I am. Can you hear me? I'm on. I signed off and
Okay,
back.
I think we were. I'm not sure if it's on my end. Hold on 1 second here. Make sure that I have you on here. Patricia, you still with us?
I am. A, B, C.
Okay, great.
You got me?
Great. Again, my apologies again, Verizon Fios.
No,
I hate you with every fiber of my existence. But Patricia, again, as we're about to wrap up here, again, I appreciate your patience here. You know, you're running in LD14,
yes.
as I mentioned earlier, certainly Republicans, and I think the NJGOP as an apparatus, I think, has a great opportunity this year to shave into those majorities. Again, obviously, you know, we're looking at numbers that are viable within this cycle and the next election cycle. I think Republicans have a really good chance to spread a good fiscally conservative message. And I think that in the next two cycles, there's a very good opportunity for Republicans, again, as the emperor, thankfully, will finish his term in 2025 and we'll be rid of him. You know, I'm just optimistic that I think if Republicans play their cards right, they can certainly make a dent and help really, I think, change the narrative in Trenton. And I'm confident, I think, obviously, you being the state senate, I think, can go a long way in really bringing change to Trenton. So I do want to thank you for your time tonight. I apologize for the little hiccup there with Wi-Fi. I appreciate you being a fan of the show. Shout out to Nicholas McCarsky, one of your campaign handlers, who's a big fan of the show. I appreciate you coming on. Patricia, I'll give you the last word here tonight on Real Talk.
I want to thank you. It's a great thing that you're doing. You give us an opportunity to voice. I'm real. I'm going to win. Vote for me. And Fernando, thank you for giving me a voice. I appreciate it.
Oh, you're more than welcome. And I appreciate you being a fan of the show and a fan of my brand of journalism because it works and people like it and it seems to do great traffic, you know? So, and again, the majority of the reason that happens, Patricia, is because of outstanding guests like yourself. So God bless you. We'll have you on again soon as the campaign season heats up. I want to wish you the best of luck again. Let me know when you have your website up, any social media for the campaign. Let us know. I'm happy to plug it for you here on Jersey First TV. Okay?
February 8th, I have an event. I'd love it.
So okay. I will do my best to make it out there. I know I'll get an invite.
You
will. I appreciate that. So, ladies and gentlemen, she is Patricia Johnson, running in Legislative District 14 in Mercer County. She's our guest tonight here on Real Talk with Fernando Uribe via Jersey First TV. Patricia, God bless you. Have a great rest of your week, and go get them on the campaign trail.
Gonna do it. Thanks.
Take care. Have a good night.
You too. Bye-bye.
Once again, folks, we appreciate your patience here. Sorry about that little snafu with Wi-Fi. Again, for the amount of money that we pay Verizon Fios, do you think they could get it done? I don't know. Do you think they could get it right? Do you think that for the money that we spend every month and we get our bill, that I could go maybe a day without a hiccup on my streaming devices or doing this show? Come on, Fios, get your act together, for God's sakes. We pay you enough money. I mean, what are you doing over there at the office? You playing video games? What are you doing? You watching porn? Come on, get your act together here, okay? We pay enough money to make sure all you technicians, all the rest of you useless customer service people do your jobs, man. Come on, Fios. It's expensive as it is. You know, do something for us, folks. Jesus. All right, gentlemen, again, I do want to thank you for tuning in, obviously, here this week. Obviously, always check out the Jersey First media brand on all of our social media. Of course, make sure you like Real Talk with Fernando Uribe on Facebook. Of course, make sure you follow me on Instagram and Twitter. It's the same handle at the Fernando Zone. And of course, make sure you follow Jersey First TV as well on Instagram and Twitter. It's the same handle for them at Jersey First. Do make it a point to subscribe to the Jersey First YouTube page. And wherever you get your podcast, whether it's Spotify or SoundCloud, make sure you download it free of charge, folks, and take them wherever it is you listen to your podcast, walking your dog, maybe going to the vet, take your pet, your dog or cat, going to the gym to work off those very stubborn holiday pounds, or getting ready for Valentine's Day. Wherever it is, folks, on your commute to work, taking the kids to the bus stop, hey, take Jersey First TV with you, because always remember, it's educational, it's engaging, and it's always entertaining, courtesy of Jersey First TV. Folks, before we call it a week, I do want to remind you all, again, over the weekend, I was, going through some clutter in my home office, and it got me thinking about a very interesting word, and that's documents. It seems like that's been dominating the headlines for, I don't know, the past 72 hours maybe. And it's interesting because I'm going to be, once again, the only journalist in New Jersey that's going to be talking about documents, right? And it really just, it sort of got me thinking about over the weekend, right? We've all heard the news. We've all heard, obviously, Sleepy Joe, with apparently now even the liberal media can't defend Joe anymore, right? So MSNBC with its 20 viewers, CNN with its 21 viewers, obviously over the weekend, for them to even make a big deal about Joe Biden, the documents we're finding, right? Apparently in an office on the campus of the University of Pennsylvania, whether it's his home in Delaware, whether it's his Corvette. I mean, this is how dumb Joe Biden is, right? I know that the meme behind me is trying to be a little bit of funny, but that's how Joe Biden's explanation sounds to all of us. No, but don't worry about the documents you found in my car because the car's locked. Yes, he's driving around in his sports car with the top down, and obviously the documents are easily accessible, right? But what's interesting to me, folks, and here's a little bit of a timeline, okay, because I think it's important to, sort of look at it, right, from the sense of what it means. Because again, nobody well, for the most part, I mean, obviously MSNBC and CNN are kind of getting, sniff into this, but not the New York Times, not other mainstream liberal outlets, because of course not. They don't want to, they have to keep distracting and carrying buckets of water for Sleepy Joe and the White House and this disgrace and this joke of an administration, right? So I know that over the weekend, obviously, what we've learned already in terms of again, folks, this is from MSNBC. This isn't Fox News or Newsmax or some conservative website where you might say, oh, there goes Fernando citing conservative content. No, folks, this is right from MSNBC over the weekend. So again, we're looking at some sort of a chronology here, right? So about a dozen pages of documents were found in an office that was used by then Vice President Biden after the Obama administration, after, thankfully, Barack Obama left office in January of 2017, right? Now, still, what's being reported is an unknown number of documents that was found in a garage in Sleepy Joe's Delaware residence. Okay? As a matter of fact, 6 pages of documents were found in a room adjacent to the garage in that Delaware home. So if you remember all last summer, folks, right? We heard all the liberal media and all of the propagandists in New Jersey media, right? Such as Insider NJ, right? Because they lead the pack. NJ Spotlight News, certainly the Star Ledger, right? Even NorthJersey.com. Again, they were licking their chops all during the summer and all during, of course, the early fall, talking about, oh, man, we got to report on this because the 45th president apparently has documents in his possession. And, Merrick Garland, right, and the rest of the useless people at the Department of Justice and the FBI, which we've all come to learn, folks, is you want to talk about wasting tax dollars, okay? That's when you look at the FBI, okay? But do you think ever once the virtue signalers at Insider and Jay would write about this? Of course, no, because, let's say their general manager, Pete O'Nelia, is too busy fixating on, oh, we need advertising dollars. So let's go suck money from Planned Parenthood or from the NJEA. Let's try to suck as much money as we can in advertising because that's all he cares about. Not putting out reputable journalism. You're not getting that at Insider NJ because not one columnist, right, has even been writing about any of the documents found in Delaware in Joe Biden's residence, right? Do you think for whatever reason, maybe, I don't know, maybe Max Prezzaro, Insider NJ's editor-in-chief, would be writing about this. No, he's writing about, folks, take your pick. Okay. When you look at muckrack.com, type in Max Pizarro, you'll see all the articles he's publishing. Okay. And thank God for journalists like Al Sullivan, the dean of Hudson County journalism. Okay. That's writing temporarily now during this sort of hotly contested election season up here in North Hudson, right? For the three-way dance that we're anticipating in the mayoral race in the town of West York, my hometown, by the way. Okay. But do you think that, Max obviously has that covered with Al, thank the Lord, covering that. But do you think Max would maybe write about, hey, what's going on with these documents found, in Joe Biden's home or an office? Like, what's going on? Why are we not seeing documents? Again, Max Pizarro is more concerned with playing dress up than actually doing real work. Right? Because this is a story, folks. Because all we would hear from columnists at Insider NJ, right? Whether they're all shooting a load in their pants about January 6th, January 6th, January 6th. Hey, by the way, Max and the rest of you clowns at Insider NJ, whatever happened to that subpoena for the 45th president? What's wrong with releasing all of the audio tapes from the 14,000 hours of interviews about January 6th? Why are some Democrats in Washington concerned about maybe keeping those audio tapes concealed? Why aren't you writing about that, Max? I mean, you shoot a load in your pants all the time about January 6th, January 6th, January 6th. The rest of the other clowns as well at Insider NJ. You're too busy playing dress up, and I get it. You like being a cowboy. I mean, that rope, I don't know what you're using it for. Hey, bro, that's between you and whoever. Live and let live, bro. That's, if you're into that stuff, tying up and whatever, God bless you, bro. That's on you. Just don't wear the cowboy hat whenever it is that you're doing what you're doing, right? But not just Max is guilty of this, but of course the rest of the propagandists at Insider NJ, right? Alan Steinberg, okay, who I know watches the show, maybe not live because it's 6:45 p.m. And you know that Al's falling asleep next to, his 90-something-year-old girlfriend, right? Because, it's way past her bedtime. So I'm sure he's watching this tomorrow, okay? But do you think Alan Steinberg would have the integrity, again, that pesky 4-syllable word, to write about documents? Right? Because, again, you were shooting a load in your pants, which I don't know if it's possible, but, figuratively speaking, about the documents found in Mar-a-Lago, right? At the residence of the former president. Well, why aren't you outraged about the documents we're finding in the house of the current president of the United States, which at the time he was the vice president of the United States? But again, that requires Al, that requires Max, that requires the rest of the insufferable virtue signalers at Insider NJ to have integrity. They're not going to write about that. Alan's going to write about, I don't know, his pathetic Brooklyn Nets or his garbage Philadelphia Eagles or whatever other team he follows from day to day. From Al, I know you're in your mid to late 90s, and I get it. You're hungry for a championship. But do me a favor, pick a team and stick with it, okay? You're a grown-ass man. Do that. It's not that difficult, okay? Pick one team and stick with it, for God's sakes, okay? But the rest of the virtue signalers at Insider NJ, right? Speaking of Jay, my favorite little bitch at Insider NJ, Jay Lassiter. Check out his social media. Check out columns he's writing about. All he cares about is weed. You think he cares about, again, he's fixated on the 45th president. But do you think Jay would have the integrity to write about the fact that, hey, what's up with these documents? Why is Merrick Garland, right, the attorney general, having to appoint a special counsel to investigate this? Why isn't Jay Lassiter or Alan Steinberg or Max Pizarro writing about this? Why? Oh, it's not convenient. Oh, they'd rather skip over it. Oh, I get it. Same thing, folks, with Uncle Dave. Okay? And NJ Spotlight News. He'd rather call people names on his show, right, referring to my good friend Bill Spadia as a crazy radio host. Dave, I get it that you have a busy day. You're trying to pick what to eat from hour to hour. Okay? I get it. That food court at the NJTV studios or NJ Spotlight News studios in the Gateway Center in Newark. Okay? Great food court. I get it. You want to go downstairs and figure out what sandwich you want next. But do me a favor, Dave. Be consistent. Okay? Because you had plenty of Democrats and people on the left during the summer and during the fall talking about, documents that were found at the home of the 45th president. Why aren't you publishing anything or publishing something on your YouTube page about the 46th president and how shady this looks. Because we're going to find stuff, hopefully, in these documents, right? But again, that requires Dave to have integrity. And when you look at some of the nonsense he peddles, well, we've all come to learn. He's about as credible as his New York Mets in October. Okay? And the same goes for all the rest of them. For all the rest of them. Charles Style with NorthJersey.com. Another sort of Trump derangement syndrome poster child. You think ever once Chucky would maybe write a column now during the weekend? I mean, he's at home. What's he doing? Scratching his ass? He's not doing anything productive. Why don't you write a column, Charles, about how outraged you should be about documents that the 46th president has laying around, that he's had laying around since he was vice president? But again, for Charles, that requires integrity. And we know he doesn't have any, just like everybody else. And that's the problem here, folks. I'm the only journalist in New Jersey media talking about this. I'm the only one trying to point out the obvious. All right? The blatant double standard that exists here. Because whether it was Charles Style, Max Pizarro, Jay Lassiter, Bob Hennelly, Tom Moran, okay, take your pick. Alan Steinberg, David Cruz. Yeah, it's been the whole part of the summer and early fall talking about, well, what does this mean about documents being found at the home of the 45th president? And again, you're all shooting a load in your pants about this. Why aren't you shooting a load in your pants now? This is just as egregious. But why? Why aren't you outraged about it? You should be. But again, folks, this is why you've come to rely on me. Because I'm the only journalist in New Jersey, again, having integrity, talking about this. You think any of the aforementioned are going to write in any of their columns coming up this week about the fact that these documents we're finding, and who knows what else we're going to find in Sleepy Joe's house? You think ever once, maybe, I don't know, any of these clowns would think about writing a column? Of course not. Again, it requires them to have integrity. It will require them to clearly illustrate the fact that there's a double standard here. So I would argue that the reason we're losing confidence in journalism, folks, not just nationally, with garbage websites like MSNBC, CNN, garbage publications like the New York Times, the Washington Post, the Chicago Tribune, the Atlanta Journal-Constitution, the Miami Herald, the LA Times, the Denver Post, is because they're doing you a disservice. But you know who never does you a disservice? Yours truly. Because I'm talking about the issues that matter to everyday people. These are issues that matter. Because again, for everybody on the left, again, shooting a load on themselves all last summer and fall about, oh, look at these documents. Look what they found at the home of Donald Trump. You know what? This is treasonous. He should be indicted. Folks, be consistent. Be consistent. Because on this show, two things we always do well. A, remain intellectually honest. And B, remain philosophically consistent. None of the other ones can say the same. I'm the only one talking about this. I'll be the only journalist in New Jersey that will continue to talk about this. Because, folks, what's evident here is a blatant double standard. So you would hope that all the aforementioned, right, whether it's Insider NJ, whether it's NJ Spotlight News, whether it's NorthJersey.com, whether it's the Star Ledger, whether it's, I hate to say it, the New Jersey Monitor too, okay? But when it comes to, again, Pete O'Neillia, the Insider NJ GM, who's more concerned with advertising dollars, right, than anything else, and then garbage journalists like David Cruz, Max Pizarro, who's too busy playing dress up clearly, Jay Lassiter, Bob Hennelly, Alan Steinberg, Tom Moran, David Cruz, Charles Style. Well, you would think that they'd want to write about the clear double standard that we're seeing right now. But then again, folks, when it comes to all these clowns, that will require them to have standards to begin with. And we all know that they don't have any. And everyone sees it. Why they don't? I don't know. It's a pretty myopic existence, folks. I see it, and so do all of you. And that's our show for this week, folks. As always, make sure you check out Jersey First TV on all of our social media. Check out Real Talk with Fernando Uribe. And of course, check me out on Facebook as well. Make sure you like the pages. Follow us on Instagram and Twitter at the Fernando Zone, both, obviously. And also check out Jersey First TV on their social media as well. Follow them at Jersey First. Make sure you subscribe to the Jersey First YouTube page. Great content out there. My wonderful teammates, Elizabeth Nader, the host of the Nader Narrative, obviously, which you can see on Thursdays. All the other wonderful talent on Jersey First TV as well. Check it out. And also, wherever you get your podcast, whether it's Spotify or SoundCloud, download our episodes. Take them with you wherever it is. You're walking your dog, going to the gym, dropping your kids off at school, coming back home, doing grocery shopping, wherever it is, folks. You know you can take Jersey First TV with you everywhere that you go. And trust me, you won't be disappointed. Folks, once again, I want to thank this week's guest, the distinguished candidate out of LD14 in Mercer County, the great Patricia Johnson, joining us here. I want to wish her the best of luck coming up on primary day in June. And certainly, should she win the primary, going up against Linda Greenstein in LD14 this November. I hope she wins, folks. We got to get some of these career politicians like Linda Greenstein out of the state Senate. She's useless. She's being useless. We could do without her. So again, I want to thank Patricia Johnson for a very lively conversation here on this week's episode. And certainly, of course, it's always lively here every single week on the show. And always remember, ladies and gentlemen, if it's educational, engaging, and entertaining, it's always real talk right here with Jersey First TV. I am New Jersey's premier and now 7-time award-winning journalist, top 100 Latino Vida Latino Spirit online magazine, certainly the weapon of mass disruption here in the Garden State, and especially in media. It's me, Fernando Uribe. Folks, thank you so much for watching. Enjoy the rest of Wild Card Weekend. I know I'll be a nervous wreck tonight. Let's go Cowboys. And I'll see you next week here, folks, live next Monday night at 6 p.m. Eastern Time, the latest edition of Real Talk with Jersey First TV. Folks, take care of yourselves. As always, please party responsibly. And as always, thank you so much for watching.